So for this video, I kind of have to do it in a weird way because if I go to my Electric Bowling Adobe file, I'm actually missing some files from it. So if I go into this, I'm missing like 6 pieces of files, so I can't really walk through what's going on here necessarily. I can show you everything that's entailed in the screen. I think it's the footage that I'm missing. But I guess I could go through and talk about the energy ball. Yeah, I can at least do that. You can see like so this is, I'm just missing the footage right now, but you can see where all the energy ball is and then like the lightning strike. So let's walk through it in here and then maybe I can explain it in the program. So I created an effect in After Effects. That was essentially an energy ball, and I knew I wanted some sort of electricity looking kind of effect, so I actually looked up a tutorial on After Effects that that was about how to create an energy ball, and I was kind of looking for more of a lightning effect, but I was able to manipulate it so I can get a more electric looking effect. So essentially right here, what I had to do was I basically had to animate the position of the ball. Scale wasn't an issue. I just had to animate the position of the ball so that way it was following him with all those little sudden movements. And here we have that same effect. And notice a big important thing to note when you're doing effects like this is make sure you always have motion blur turned on, because if there's no motion blur, it makes things look very, very real, and people instantly start to question like whether it's like it just starts looking bad. Like this looks okay, but with like the motion blur, it definitely looks good. It looks better than what it would be if there was no motion blur. And so right here, when it gets back behind his pants, I had to do a very similar thing, like I said, with the rotoscoping in the late video. I had to rotoscope the ball going behind him. That's a little error there, but it's not behind him for very long. Most of this motion I tried tracking it using I think it was 3D tracking to track the position and the size of it. It did not pan out the best, especially once it got around these like yellow balls. It started getting off target a lot, so I had to hand animate the size and the scale as it was going back and forth. I think I missed a frame there. And so another thing to note, when the ball's rolling down the lane, you notice there's 2 instances of it. So there's 2 copies of that energy lightning ball effect. One being screened. Essentially, I'm just screening it on the lane, and the other one's being screened on the top. This also had to be done by hand, so I could get the notice the motion blur. So it makes it look just a lot cleaner, more realistic. And another thing to note is I had to have the effect rotating in the same direction as the bowling ball, or else it would have looked really awkward without having to do that. So it's going down the lane. Here's another shot of it with the motion blur on. And notice how I have the bowling ball spinning in the opposite directions due to the reflection off of the ground. I could have done a little bit better of like a little better job of having some light, maybe try adding some light reflecting off of the ground, but that's all right. Doesn't look too bad. And then here at the end, I added a little electricity effect on the ball. It starts growing, and then there's like a lightning strike and there's a nice flash right as the pin's knocked down. So essentially, I just animated. I had like a white solid, and I'm just animating the opacity really quick to get that kind of like lightning looking effect, and then pins get knocked down. That is essentially the process for this shot right here. And I'll just go ahead and play it real quick so you can see the whole thing. And there it is.